you mentioned recruiting, so why don't we just go ahead and transition into that? Ohio State did get a big one today.
Yes.
They got a nice piece, 4-star cornerback Jordan Thomas. He's a cornerback from Bergen Catholic out in New Jersey. Ohio State's got a long history of grabbing kids from the state of New Jersey, so he just becomes the next guy. And he chose Ohio State really over Michigan and Notre Dame. Those were the kind of
Yes.
the two other guys that were the big boys. A&M was kind of in there too, but not. I mean, it was really Ohio State, Notre Dame, and Michigan that were the final three, and he chose Ohio State. And he's someone he's 6'1", 175, so he's got pretty decent size. He becomes the second corner for Ohio State in this 2026 class. And, Tim Walton has started to hopefully this helps him get a little bit more momentum for to bring in more corners, quite frankly, because I would like to see them grab at least one more corner for this class. What are your thoughts on Thomas and, Walton adding to the cornerback room?
Yeah, I did see like a lot of scouts have him like going both ways. Some people have him as an athlete, but of course we're looking at him as a defensive back, as a corner.
Yeah, he won't be. There's no room for him on the offense.
No, there isn't. But I do think that with how versatile a lot of the secondary is for the Ohio State Buckeyes, also just knowing that you never know if guys leave, you never know if guys get hurt. You got to keep the really good depth, elite depth there. I do believe Jordan Thomas is one of those guys. Again, you're getting him over Michigan, you're getting him over Notre Dame, which are two other programs. Both programs over the last 3 years have put in first round corners.
Yeah.
Last year, Will Johnson probably would have had those knee rumor injuries going around. Even though
I think he's cooked. He might be cooked.
Yeah, I hope not, man, because that felt bad. Because unless I really hope that comes. I want to know what it is. I want to know what it is because
it sounds like his knees are shot, but no one's going to come out and say specifically what it is.
That was a drastic drop for him. He was a top before that he was a top 5, the top 7 to 10 player in the draft. So it was really interesting. But no, but they've done that. But Ohio State, I think these young men, they see what's developing there. They see the coaching staff. They Coach Walt being the DB coach and also the co-defensive coordinator has a lot of respect there from the staff, the program, the institution, the players, the recruits. So and clearly I think the guys have a lot of fun around him and they seem as a father figure. I think that's what you're getting.
Yeah. Excuse me. And you made a good point. I mean, just the fact you're able to land him over Notre Dame, Michigan. I mean, those two teams played for the national championship in each of the last 2 years. Obviously, Ohio State beat Notre Dame, and Michigan got that asterisk national title in 23. So it's always good to be able to show that you are the premier Northern school, and get those kinds of recruits in those battles. That helps you stay the premier Northern school. So I'd like to see. I'd like to see, like I said, at least get one more corner. I know there's a couple of guys they're looking at that are pretty highly rated that they're hoping they can land. But they definitely need more depth. And, that's especially true if they're going to end up losing some guys in the transfer portal next year. But again, we'll see. I thought we were going to lose more than what we did this year. And the Buckeyes didn't lose a single scholarship guy in the spring portal. So that tells you something.
One thing I want to talk to you about, because maybe I know you probably saw this. Tyler Atkinson talked about who his top school was, top program, and was Ohio State. I knew we were in the running for him. I was pretty confident, we'll be in his top 3 whenever it comes down to a top 5, whatever he's gonna have. But in my mind, I was like, man, can we get Sincere and him? I'm like, Sincere, let's be honest here. Sincere is a shoo-in. That's it's practical. I won't say it's a shoo-in, but I think we have a lot of reasons to be confident that we're going to get Sincere Johnson.
I think it's more likely to land him than to land Tyler Atkinson. Yeah. And for those who don't know, Atkinson, linebacker, number 1 linebacker in the country, 5-star recruit. All the big boys are after him, so Ohio State's got to fight ahead of him.
It's like getting a Riley Pettyjohn is huge in itself, but getting like a Tyler Atkinson is like He has a lot of the tools. Honestly, he reminds of Riley Petty. He reminds you like an Arvell Reese, guys like that. Honestly, a lot of the guys we have in our linebacker room, very big, athletic guys. And I think that, when you hear that as a Buckeye fan, that he's at the top, could he just be saying that? Sure. But I've always been one of those, Ryan, I'm not going to go out of my way to call these kids liars. I'm going to take it for face value for what it is, all right? So I'm very happy about that. What do you say?
We'll see. I worry about Georgia. Georgia seems to be the other team that's high, that's up there. I worry it could come down to one of those scenarios where it's who can give me the biggest bag. And Ohio State's I'm not saying they're running out of money, but there's some other recruits at higher positions of need.
And Ryan Day said it. He said money's not going to be the conversation here.
Sure, he did mention that, but let's be real. When it's a 5-star recruit and you're the best at your position, I'm pretty sure they'd be okay, up in that fund. So it's going to be interesting. We'll see how he goes with his recruitment. I mean, Ohio State's been on him for a long time. Like they've had a relationship with him for a while. If Laurinaitis can close the deal on him, that would be probably the biggest land for him as a linebacker coach yet in terms of recruiting. And we'll see. I'm not like you. I've got a little bit more faith that they can land Sincere Johnson than I do Atkinson. He hasn't made an indication on when he's going to make his choice yet. So we'll just have to kind of wait and see. And Ohio State's got time to make a better, to keep making an impression on Atkinson and hopefully get him to commit. But again, really only time will tell for him.
Yeah. Yeah.
The other piece of recruiting that I want to talk to, I know you might have a couple more as well.
Go ahead,
Well, Buckeyes offered a scholarship to the brother of a legendary player.
Yeah.
And Marvin Harrison Jr.'s brother, Jed Harrison, was offered by Ohio State. He is a 2028 receiver. So, it's quite a ways away. But he's already shown that he can be, he's already shown that he's really good. And he's already kind of he's already big, even though he's still pretty young. Like he's 6'1", 175. He could still grow. Like he's not small. And if Ohio State has, and like I mentioned before, Brian Hartline does not offer kids who he doesn't think can be great. So if he thinks Jed Harrison can be great, it's good to get on him early, knowing that you've got that family connection with Marv coming. And I mean, there's not I'm not gonna lie and tell you I've seen film of him because he's like a freshman, so I don't really know how good of a player he is. But I mean, what are your thoughts on the Buckeyes just offering him anyway? Like I trust the coaching staff to make that decision. What do you think?
Well, I forgot when this was or who it was from, but it was while Marv was here. And it was like a lot of people were raving about him, like Marv talking about his little brother, saying, "Yeah, like he's that good. He's probably gonna be better than me." And a lot of the times that happens when the younger brother or younger sister, the younger sibling becomes better than the older one. I think this is Ohio State just getting ahead of it. This is Ohio State is getting ahead of it because they know he's gonna have a big name, not just because of his last name, but they think he can play like that. If you go on 247, I mean, Ohio State's his only offer.
Correct. Yeah.
So it's
the only one.
It's first and only offer. So I think there's one of those situations where you kind of look at some guys they offer them in middle school, they'll offer them the freshman year because they want to get that rapport, make sure that they cross all their T's, dot their I's with the player, and create that relationship. Not that Jed doesn't already have a relationship with Ohio State. Everyone in that room knows about who Jed is. They all gave him a handshake or hug him, I'm sure. So no, I think it's really exciting for him. I'm happy for the kid, and I hope he ends up a Buckeye down the line.
Yeah, me too. And I want to be on the record here. I never want to see Ohio State ever offer a middle schooler. That's insane to me. Offering a kid in 7th or 8th grade. That's ridiculous. I never want to see that happen.
Happens all the time, man. It's
I
crazy,
know.
man.
Unfortunately, that happens, but I don't. Come on. That's too early for me.
Before we go to a break here, there's a question I have for you.
Okay.
So 5 names here: 3 D linemen, 2 edges. Aiden Harris, number 2 defensive lineman. Deuce Gerald's number 6 defensive lineman. PJ Dean, number 5 defensive lineman. Then you have Luke Waffle, number 8 edge. John Cool, the number 9 edge. 5 guys that are high on Ohio State's list, and vice versa. All of them look at Ohio State. For some of those guys, like PJ Dean and Deuce, they are right. If you go on 3, they are thought to be going to Ohio State.
Yep.
My question is, of the 5 players, how many does Larry get?
That's tough because of his recent recruiting record, unfortunately.
Yeah. Yep.
I'm super confident they'll get one. I'm pretty confident they're going to get PJ Dean. I would be shocked if they didn't, quite frankly. Of those names, I feel most confident about him. I would say they get at most 2. I'm hoping they get 3. They really need 3. But I think a good over-under is probably 2.5. And I think it's the under. I think probably 1 or 2 is what we're looking at. What do you think?
I mean, if you want to make some money, I would say 2.5. I'm at around 1.5. I do think we get PJ Dean. If you ask me who was next on this list, I think it would be Deuce.
Yeah. But Dean's the only one I am like, okay, we'll probably
that's the only one that I'm like plus 90% sure we're gonna get.
Yeah.
Deuce from around 65 to 70. Waffle
for
and
me,
Cool.
It's just over a coin flip for him. I don't know, but
you said for who?
For Deuce, I think it's like 50.
It's a coin flip. I'm very confident, but I'm like 60 to 65%. I'm overly confident in that one, but not by a lot to where I would say 80%.
Yeah.
Waffle, Cool, and Aiden Harris. If he pulled off, I'll tell you this. If he got us PJ, let's say we got PJ Dean. Actually, I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't even know if I really want if we need Cool or Waffle. I would like to have them. I think we need 2 of those D tackles, those D line. We need 2 of those D line.
We definitely need we need at least one of the defensive tackles. Like I think that's what they really need.
If we get 1, I'll be comfortable. If we get 2, I'll be happy.
I think that's probably a good way to put it.
Yeah,
that tells you where we're at when it comes to Larry Johnson's recruiting at this point.
This is a situation, and I'm just looking at some of the photos. I mean, clearly, Matt Patricia says he wants to recruit. I think this might be some of the situations where Matt Patricia might have to come in. If not that, well, yeah, and it has to be him because he worked with the front 7.
Which tells you again, Patricia. Like when we got hired, both of us agreed that like Patricia likely wasn't going to be a huge factor on the recruiting show because he wasn't seen as a likable dude. But if you have to trot out the unlikable dude to try to seal up some of these recruits, that tells you where the defensive line is in terms of the recruiting. These are the gripes we have with Larry. Like I understand he's done great. There's a large segment of the fan base that still loves him, and I mean, we both of us have said we appreciate what he's done for the Buckeyes in the past. Like his development for, up front for a lot of these guys has been good. Both Bosa's, Chase Young, Tyquan Lewis. I mean, JT, Jack Sawyer, like those guys. But at some point, like you've got to be able to bring those top level recruits in again.
Yeah. No, you are definitely right.